Like many women, for most of my life, I was struggling to maintain a healthy weight. All throughout high school and college, I was always on this yo-yo diet where I would restrict and then I would binge, or, I would try those nutritional shakes or whatever claimed to work. And it is very discouraging when you lose weight just to gain it back again and then some. And I know for many women who have tried programs like Jenny Craig and things like that, you see initial success, and again, eventually that weight will come back and then some at times. And this relapse is not uncommon at all. And one of the reasons for that is because these programs and diets, they do not address your environment. So, for example, if you find the motivation or drive to start restricting your calories before a lake trip or, a family member's wedding, and hopes that that weight will stay off, but your environment hasn't changed, so you still have the same tempting foods in your office space and also at your home, and your partner is still eating the same way that they've always eaten, they haven't made any changes, then there are going to be challenges. And unless the environment is addressed and changes are made on an environmental level, then you're going to end up right back where you started, because our willpower can only get us so far. So much of our day is dictated by our subconscious habits. And that just really means that we're in autopilot. So think when we brush our teeth in the morning, when we drive to work, when we make our cup of coffee. We don't have to think about every step of that process because we've done it so many times, it's automatic. And this is really helpful when it comes to these healthy habits because we don't have to expend a lot of energy thinking about it. But a lot of times we have automatic subconscious habits that are unhealthy, and this really dictates whenever we are stressed out. And I know that is many of us, especially because of the current circumstances. So unless we address our environment and make changes there, we're going to default to these automatic behaviors. And we're going to feel defeated and weak, or, just lack self-control if we don't address these things. So I'm telling you now that it's not because you lack self-control, it's not because you're lazy, it's because the changes haven't been made on an environmental level to make those unhealthy habits harder to engage in and to make the healthy habits easier to engage in. So we want to remove as many barriers as possible to engaging in that healthy habit, and put as many barriers in place as possible to engaging in that unhealthy habit. And until this happens, you're going to be leaning on those old behaviors. So some examples are, at the office. If you are on a new diet regimen and you're very committed, but Becky brings in donuts 3 days a week and leaves those in the lounge area. So if you're relying on willpower alone, eventually you're probably going to give in and have a donut and tell yourself, it's just one donut, it's fine, I'll, eat a salad for dinner or something like that. But unfortunately, it's not about the calories from that donut. It's the mindset changes that are occurring when you allow yourself a little bit of wiggle room. That really becomes a slippery slope. And as we know, that one donut isn't going to completely derail our health goals or our weight, but it is the compound effect of that choice. And those choices, as long as they're around, there's going to be opportunity for you to stray from your goals. So, I think it's really important to address the environment like this, and maybe we remove ourselves from the environment. So if there's a lot of unhealthy influences at your job and it's just everywhere all the time, then maybe it's time to rethink your place of work. You could get rid of Becky, but that poses its own set of challenges and repercussions there. So maybe just having a nice talk with her, asking her, hey, could you leave those in your office and I just won't come to your office, or something like that. But making it so that you're not facing these temptations every step of the way, especially while you're carving out these new habits and weakening the unhealthy behaviors. So this is an idea called neuroplasticity, and this is proof that our brains can change. So just like with the teeth brushing, just like with the making coffee in the morning, right, we can do that without much effort or without much thought, because we've carved out that pathway in our brain, and it's easy to engage in. We have to put very little effort in, and it's automatic. And so that is the same for, say, grabbing that donut every Friday on your way to work. If that is the strong pathway, then that's going to be your default, especially if you're under stress. Because when we're under stress, then really those automatic behaviors dictate, because our body is really trying to divert resources to combating this potential threat. And so, it requires you to create another alternative and make it harder to engage in that unhealthy habit. So at home, for example, if we are trying to eat better, then we would want to have healthy foods in the house. We would want to make an environment that is supportive and health promoting versus health sabotaging. So we would want to make it easier to eat the healthy foods. Maybe at first we want to buy them that pre-cut. So that's one less step to engage in that behavior. Maybe when we want to buy them pre-cooked, so like a microwave packet of vegetables that you put in the microwave for a minute versus just a head of broccoli that you have to cut, season, roast, and all of that. That would create more steps and make it harder to engage in that habit. So we want to make it as easy as possible, so buying pre-cut, pre-made, things like that. We want to have those on the shelf in our fridge where it's at eye level, because we know in grocery stores they spend millions of dollars on marketing, and the items that are at our eye level are the ones that they really want consumers to purchase, and the ones down low are not as likely to be recognized and are less likely to get purchased. So we want to set up our environment the same way, and we want to make those unhealthy foods less easy to default to. So especially if you had a stressful day at work, your boss was getting on your back, you go home and you open the fridge and the first thing at eye level is, muffins or, chips or something like that, then that's going to be your default, especially if you're compromised because you're stressed or something. So we want to eliminate those options so that you can't go into autopilot after a stressful day at work. So we want to toss those. So if you in 2 hours are still thinking about ice cream and you've decided, I haven't had ice cream in a while, it's not in the house, so if I really want it, I'm going to have to drive and go get myself a single serving. That is okay, because you are not going into autopilot, unconsciously eating the ice cream without even tasting it out of the gallon container because of a stressful day. You are making a conscious, deliberate choice that it's been a hot day and you and your partner haven't had ice cream in a long time and you really want to enjoy some good gelato from the Italian ladies ice cream shop down the street. So, you're not just diving into a tub of vanilla Bluebell, but you're, focusing on quality and not leaning on that as a crutch to help address or try to combat some stress. So those are two very different situations, and you can't differentiate between the two if you always have that ice cream in the house. You're not going to really feel like you have the self-control to have it there and to make that choice for yourself. So know that it's not about self-control, it's about environment, and it's about a lot of other factors like how stressed you are. Your body's going to encourage you to eat refined processed foods because it requires less energy to break down and digest. And so that's just kind of the way we're wired. So removing those from your environment, having conversation with your spouse about, making changes there in hopes that they will want to encourage your new lifestyle and be supportive of that and not buy those foods and tempt you with those foods either. Or just coming up with some kind of solution, moving them so that, they're not where you think they're going to be, they're hidden or something like that. Having him or her buy snacks that you don't like so that they're not going to tempt you. But finding solutions there so that you have a chance at succeeding. And I think that is really key, and a very key piece that is missing from, restrictive diets and things like that. If your environment doesn't change, then the second something happens, you lose a family member, or someone loses a job, there's money constraints, or your child, there's something happens with your child, then as soon as a stressful situation surfaces, your mind is going to want to default back to those unhealthy habits and behaviors. But if you no longer have those things around, then it's going to be a lot harder to do that. And you'll be able to manage your stress more effectively and healthfully by reverting back to some of those tools in your toolbox. Like, okay, it's a more stressful week, so I know I can order healthy foods from this restaurant and that restaurant. I could have meals delivered from this meal delivery service instead of getting Chinese. I could also just buy these pre-made vegetables so I don't have to worry about cutting and cooking things because I just have too much on my plate right now. So these are the tools, these are the types of resources that I help my clients find and I provide for them so that no matter the circumstances, you are not going to default to those old behaviors. They are simply not an option because there are too many other healthier options for you to turn to, even under the worst circumstances. So if you have been in a program before or, started a diet that ultimately led to a relapse, and if you're hesitant about starting something new out of fear of failure again and losing hope, then I am here to tell you that you should not lose hope. There are more steps you can take. We really just need to focus on the process. We really need to focus on the environment. And you really need to find a program that is specifically for your current circumstances and meeting you where you're at and finding things that you enjoy, foods that you enjoy, and not shoving down a salad just because the program says you have to. But, eating foods that you enjoy, finding creative ways to incorporate foods, nutrients, and things like that so that you don't feel deprived and you feel like you're eating in abundance and that you're not constantly trying to overcome cravings and temptations and, feeling defeated because of willpower. So these things are avoidable. Weight loss is sustainable and it is possible for you with the right approach. So please don't lose hope. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out, DM me, and I'd be happy to hop on a call with you. So thank you all so much for listening.